On the 14th of April 1980, Iron Maiden released their self-titled debut album. Formed on Christmas Day, 1975, by bassist Steve Harris in Leytonstone, East London, the band spent their early years playing local pubs and clubs, gradually building a reputation for their intense live performances and distinct sound. After eventually scraping together enough cash, the band headed to Spacewood Studios in Cambridge to record 4 demo tracks. Influential rock DJ Neil Kay was handed one of the tapes by Steve Harris and started playing the tracks at the Bandwagon Heavy Metal Soundhouse Rock Club. Prowler, one of Maiden's songs, shot to the top of the Soundhouse Request chart, attracting the attention of Sounds magazine. The demo tape also found its way into the hands of budding music manager Rod Smallwood, who contacted Steve Harris and offered to help the band. In November 1979, Maiden self-released 3 of the demo tracks as the Soundhouse tapes. Only 5,000 copies were made, which sold out in just a few weeks. After Rod Smallwood agreed to become the band's manager and negotiated a major deal with EMI, Steve Harris, Dave Murray, Paul Di'Anno, Dennis Stratton and Clive Burr headed to Kingsway Studios in London to record their first album. Lead single Running Free surprisingly earned Maiden an invitation to play on British TV institution Top of the Pops. While most bands mimed on the show, Maiden famously insisted on playing the track live. Iron Maiden went straight into the UK charts at number 4. Let's just take a second to appreciate what a month April 1980 was for hard rock music. Fellow new wave of British heavy metal pioneers Saxon released their breakthrough Wheels of Steel album, and established metal gods Judas Priest unleashed the classic British steel. Prowler kicks things off, and what an opening track it is. The incredibly catchy riff, Di'Anno's raw, snarling vocals, the brilliant instrumental section and solo, all underpinned by Harris's killer bass and Clive Burr's excellent drumming. For me, despite some slightly worrying lyrics, this is a definite 9 out of 10. Remember Tomorrow, co-written by Harris and Di'Anno, is just an amazing song, hinting at Maiden's more progressive direction in later albums with gentle, haunting sections, all sung beautifully by Di'Anno. These alternate with some killer riffage in the chorus and an absolutely fantastic instrumental section. The interplay between Di'Anno's screams and the guitars at the end just puts the icing on the cake. 10 out of 10. Running Free, another Harris and Di'Anno composition, reached number 34 on the UK singles chart. This song has a great groove and some excellent drumming from Clive Burr. Di'Anno's raw and raspy vocals are perfect, and there are some interesting breaks to mix things up in what is otherwise a relatively straightforward rocker. It might have benefited from a slightly faster tempo, but it's still a killer track and has been played many times on tour. 9 out of 10. Phantom of the Opera is a stone-cold Maiden classic. Harris once again veers into more progressive territory in this song, based on the novel by Gaston Leroux. Everything just comes together here. The bass, twin guitars, vocals and drums all meld perfectly with the complex multi-tempo song structure to create something really special. It even managed to help Daley Thompson turn Lucozade from something your mum gave you when you were off school sick into a best-selling energy drink for athletes. Absolutely no hesitation in giving Phantom of the Opera a 10 out of 10. Getting things started on side 2 is Transylvania. Although it's an instrumental track, the song fits perfectly on the album and really showcases the twin guitars of Murray and Stratton. In the engine room, Harris and Burr drive things forward brilliantly, and the guitar solo is once again excellent. 9 out of 10. Transylvania segues beautifully into Strange World, a standout track on the album because its slower, almost otherworldly vibe contrasts perfectly with the songs around it. The laid-back, haunting melody and dreamlike quality really showcases a different side to Di'Anno's vocals, and the moment Stratton's soaring lead kicks in after the atmospheric opening is truly epic. Interestingly, Paul Day, the singer when Maiden first formed, claimed to have had a hand in writing an early cut of this song, though only Steve Harris is credited on the album version.
Here I am, I'm not really there.
10 out of 10. Charlotte the Harlot is credited to Dave Murray, though it later transpired that Steve Harris actually wrote the lyrics. This is, in my opinion, an underrated song. Yeah, the lyrics are on the surface a bit immature, but they tell a story, and succeed in creating a compelling character in Charlotte. This was compounded by a continuation of her story in subsequent albums, primarily 22 Acacia Avenue on The Number of the Beast. Paul Di'Anno's gritty vocals are once again perfect for the sleazy subject matter. The song has a great riff and fist-pumping chorus. The slower middle section, touching on regret at the life Charlotte's leading, kicks back into full throttle with some great drumming and a small but perfectly formed solo. For me, this is a 9 out of 10. Iron Maiden has been the closing song at pretty much every Maiden concert. Some people actually view this as the weakest song on the album. Maybe part of that's because it's been played so much though. Generally, I prefer Di'Anno's vocals on the songs from the first two albums compared to Bruce, but this one probably more than any other. Paul's thrashy, snarling voice just suits the song much better. While there's no real guitar solo, it doesn't matter, as the main riff, Steve's punchy bass, and the sing-along chorus are all great. It's a fitting way to end the album, and being such a classic track, I think it still just edges a 9 out of 10. Sanctuary was released in the UK as a non-album single, although it was added to the US version. The cover art caused controversy because it depicted Eddie seemingly killing British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. Her face in the actual product that hit record stores was censored. Apparently this was at the suggestion of Rod Smallwood, who thought it would draw more attention to the single. And it did, with several national newspapers running stories about how outrageous it was. Maggie would appear again in the cover art for the next single, Women in Uniform, this time with a machine gun seeking revenge on Eddie. As Sanctuary wasn't included on the original UK album, I won't be including it in my overall score. It's another quality song, with a good riff, great solo, and the police siren is a nice touch. Perhaps not quite up to the standard of the songs on the actual album though, so 8 out of 10. Production on the album was problematic. Although credited to Will Malone, the band has stated in numerous interviews that he wasn't particularly interested, and they ended up mainly working directly with engineer Martin Levin. Many fans, myself included, actually still like the production though. Yeah, it's a bit rough and ready, and certainly lacks the richness of the subsequent Martin Birch produced albums. The band weren't particularly happy about it, but somehow it just works with the material and Di'Anno's voice in particular. 7 out of 10. The album's cover art is a striking introduction to both the band and their mascot, Eddie. Derek Riggs' design perfectly captures the raw, rebellious energy of their early sound. Eddie's skeletal figure and wild hair, set against a gritty backdrop, exudes menace, matching the album's aggressive vibe.
Look at that!
From a technical perspective, it's undoubtedly not Riggs' most accomplished cover, but this iconic artwork remains one of metal's most recognisable and continues to resonate as a powerful symbol of the band's legacy. The 1998 remaster featured a digitally reimagined version of the cover art, which is totally inferior in comparison. Thankfully, the original artwork was restored on the subsequent 2015 reissue. 9 out of 10. Iron Maiden is the definition of all killer no filler. Not surprising really, as the songs had been honed by the band on the live circuit over the previous 5 years. But the power, flow, consistent quality, and sheer raw energy make this album an absolute joy to listen to, time and time again. It has to be a 10 out of 10. So, overall we have 8 songs on the album with a total score of 75 out of 80. Adjusting that to a score out of 70 gives us 66. Adding in the scores for production, art design and listenability gives us a final total of 92 out of 100, making Iron Maiden a groundbreaking album. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. See you next time on Heavy Rock Revolution.